Previously on Udon, Waspo barely survived fights against Scary Grandpa and Scary Grandma. The two fused into the super scary grandparent. On the brink of death, Waspo was blessed with 1% of obese Man-Eye's power. With this newfound strength, Waspo finally defeated the grandparent. However, in its dying moments, it unleashed a new evil upon existence. 3 days after the Scary Grandma incident, a new planet formed from the force of that battle, Udaneos, an invincible world. At a 7-Eleven on Udaneos, the kneecap collector was about to buy some fire-breath noodles when Saitama interrupted him. Kneecap immediately landed a knuckle sandwich on Saitama's face. Despite Saitama being knocked out, Kneecap followed up with 3 consecutive German suplexes. Noodles in hand, Kneecap left the store. He noticed a pitch-black figure with an eyeball on its forehead, but paid it no mind. Walking down the street, he vigorously shook his noodles, the friction instantly cooking them. He managed only 2 bites before a dark figure swooped down and snatched his meal. But the thief didn't get far as Kneecap grabbed him. Kneecap then leaped into the upper stratosphere, arms wrapped tightly around the robber. He spun 1,000,000,000 times before slamming the figure headfirst into the ground. Kneecap stood up, cracking his knuckles. "Wow, you're a tough one," he remarked. "Normally, that would kill most people." He picked up his noodles and placed them in his Kneecap bag. The robber suddenly burst from the ground, revealing himself as Jaden. He was pale and gaunt, with yellow teeth, deep bags under his eyes, and a hunched back. Jaden punched Kneecap in the face, but Kneecap swiftly slid his fingers under Jaden's collarbone and tossed him away. As Jaden flew backward, Kneecap charged, grabbed his leg, and hurled him into a nearby building. Entering the building through the hole he'd created, Kneecap saw Jaden draining the life force from the humans inside. Empowered by this surge of energy, Jaden flew at Kneecap, punching him through multiple walls. Kneecap burst from the rubble, seizing Jaden's hand, pulling his arm over his shoulder, and slamming him back into the ground. Kneecap then put Jaden in a rear neck choke and performed 7 backflips. Jaden dodged Kneecap's stomp, retaliating with an oblique kick followed by a switch kick to the head. However, Kneecap caught Jaden's foot and slammed him down. As Jaden bounced back up, Kneecap grabbed the back of his head and drove it into the ground again. He then dragged Jaden's face across the ground before launching him into the air. Jaden lunged back to punch Kneecap, but Kneecap delivered a shoulder check, sending Jaden into 17 mid-air flips. Kneecap then lifted Jaden by his chest skin and slammed him down once more. He followed this with a guillotine choke, hoisting Jaden into the air, with his feet pointing skyward before slamming him down again. Kneecap then executed a Batista bomb in 2 German suplexes. Finally, he inserted his fingers into Jaden's eyes, picked him up, and declared, "It's bowling time!" before smashing his head into the ground. He then tossed Jaden's lifeless body into several buildings, the impact turning them into magma. This final move killed Jaden almost instantly. Before Kneecap could even register the corpse, it was absorbed by a spreading blackness. Kneecap, unfazed, was simply happy to finally eat his noodles in peace. Reaching into his bag, his hand touched his spicy noodles, only to be grabbed by another hand. Suddenly, Kneecap was pulled into his own bag. Dragged in head first, the back of his head was slammed onto the ground of a vast desert, the sand tearing his face off and killing him instantly. But Kneecap was revived. Before he could react, a kick to his knee inverted his legs. As he fell forward, an uppercut exploded his head. Revived again, Kneecap managed to ask his attacker's identity. "I am Obese Man-Eye," came the reply. A drop kick followed, punching a hole through Kneecap's chest. Revived once more, he was grabbed by the head and teleported into a false sun created by Obese Man-Eye, his skin melting away instantly. He revived again. Kneecap struck Obese Man-Eye's face, but his arm simply exploded. "Please," Obese Man-Eye said. As he spoke, Kneecap was punched into the sky, then grabbed by the legs and slammed back down, his entire torso exploding. Kneecap revived. Obese Man-Eye grabbed him and suplexed him 10 times, breaking every bone in his body. He revived and was killed millions upon millions of times. Each death strengthened his muscle fibers, his bones, his very life force. Finally revived, Kneecap landed a knee to Obese Man-Eye's chest and an elbow to the chin. It felt like hitting metal, and Obese Man-Eye barely moved. Obese Man-Eye then palmed Kneecap in the face, breaking his nose. Kneecap grabbed obese Man Eye's arms, trying to break free at incredible speeds, then tossed into the air. Before obese Man Eye could strike him mid-air, Kneecap narrowly dodged. Just as obese Man Eye was about to kill him again, a golden portal appeared. African, Mexican, and Waspo emerged. Obese Man Eye stared down at the group of fighters and suddenly boosted his power to 2%. The force slammed Waspo, African, and Mexican to their knees, and all three passed out, sent to random locations in different dimensions across the infinite universe. African flew back in time and one-shot Superman 1,000,000. Waspo landed before Yog Sothoth and used his fear hacks to permanently destroy the cosmic entity. Mexican ran into the Flash, who, mistaking him for a monster, tried to punch him. Mexican grabbed the Flash's hand and broke it before knocking him out cold. Kneecap, still in the same dimension as obese Man Eye, had to think fast. He tried to run, but obese Man Eye teleported in front of him and discombobulated him, knocking him unconscious. Obese Man Eye then dragged Mr. Duck, Super Mexican, Little Man, African Gaming, Kneecap Collector, and Waspo the Great deep into the Udunverse. They awoke not on Earth but in something beneath it. The cave stretched endlessly, defying reason. Its ceiling wasn't rock, but a cold, silent sky filled with unblinking stars, each a frozen eye burning with ancient thought. The air was still, yet it pressed against their skin, as if waiting for permission to breathe. In the center of this voided cathedral rose the spiral, an impossible structure of water and light. It spun not with motion, but with intent, a pillar of liquid reality defying all known laws. Around it circled the spectrals, creatures neither living nor remembered, orbiting like prayers around a dead god. Then the spiral heaved. Without eruption or scream, it simply ejected something, a gray, shuddering mass, oozing with a rhythm that mimicked breath, but felt more like a forgotten memory. The fighters, all seasoned in war and wonder, froze. Their instincts screamed to flee, not engage. Even their weapons felt heavier in its presence. And then the sky, no, the stars split. Not a tear in space, but a tear in sanity. The stars folded back like skin from fruit, revealing something vast, something thinking. A hand descended, larger than mountains, quieter than death. Its fingers reached not to crush the mass, but to retrieve it, as if correcting an error. The mass responded, mimicking, answering. A single limb burst forth, raw, angular, its motion incomprehensible, and struck the cosmic hand. When they touched, the world shattered. A silent shockwave screamed outward. Unseen mountains cracked. The sky trembled. Time stuttered. And each fighter was flung away like sparks from a dying fire. Their minds reeling, their vision fractured by impossible sights. As their consciousness reformed, they turned to see not a mass, but a figure. It stood tall, humanoid in shape, but utterly wrong in every other way. Its flesh writhed, shifting endlessly, forgetting its previous form and mutating into something worse. It had no face, yet every fighter felt watched, judged, measured. They understood nothing, but they felt everything. And from that moment on, they were not simply fighting for victory, they were fighting to be remembered. Then, without warning, the creature born from the spiral lunged at Waspo, hitting him with a clothesline that sent him flying at unimaginable speeds, coughing up blood. African and Mexican rushed to attack the monster, but they both froze mid-air before being slammed to the floor. Kneecap went to throw a punch, but his hand inexplicably landed on Little Man's face. Mr. Duck unleashed millions of hands at the monster, but it simply grew millions of arms in response, easily overpowering Mr. Duck, who was then tossed aside.